Hello and welcome back to my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. In part 12, I finished out the magnificent Arkansas section of the Tat and made my way into the vast green state that is Mississippi. I took some detours and found a few cool swamps, but I still had loads more to see and many miles to cover.
Help, I'm lost. I fell when life got twisted.
After a good night's sleep, I hopped on the road nice and early as I knew there was some rain in the forecast and I wanted to make some good time. Though I still got distracted by things like this, a ginormous dam overflow that was absolutely raging. I sat there and I wondered if anyone has ever tried to raft or kayak down this. Maybe I could be the first. After I got my head out of the clouds, I reconnected with the Tat, which was quite stunning with all the ivy growing on everything. I felt like I was riding through an enchanted garden. That feeling quickly faded as further down the trail I cruised by an old cemetery in the middle of nowhere that was rather spooky. Mississippi was full of all kinds of surprises, like this bridge. I probably should have been paying closer attention to where I was going, but I was just in awe of how cool this thing was. You would not want to lose control and fall off, as it was a huge drop and who knows what's lurking in the water below. Just as I entered into the dense forest, the ground became wet, signifying that a storm had just passed through here, and it would probably be raining again soon. It slowly began to drizzle as I made my way further into the forest. I didn't mind being a little soggy as the views more than made up for it. Mississippi was living up to its predecessor, Arkansas, in natural beauty. Turn by turn, I fell in love with the state even more. I had these trails completely to myself. Well, almost to myself. As I was riding along, a dog crouched in the bushes caught my eye. I was honestly in disbelief that it wasn't chasing me, as nearly every dog that I encountered in Arkansas wanted to take a bite out of my tires. Another dog appeared from behind the brush as well. We had a nice long awkward stare down until I realized they were harmless puppies and I called them over. Hello? 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 You guys are cute. You guys are cute. I felt terrible that these two dogs were in the middle of nowhere looking cold and hungry, so I busted out some food to give them, which they gobbled up immediately. I also shared my water with them, which they enjoyed equally as much. I was in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, so I honestly didn't know what to do about these dogs. When I hopped on my bike, they began to follow me. I flagged down a local, but he told me that dogs just run wild all over these parts, and didn't seem too bothered by it. I felt so bad for these pups and wanted to try to help them. After riding for nearly an hour with the pups following, I finally made it to a small town where I got one bar of service and used it to call the local shelters. Not a single one picked up. I had no way to get these dogs on my bike, and I didn't want to separate them. Eventually, they were too tired to keep walking and laid down in the middle of a four-way stop and refused to go onward. I gave them the rest of my food to fill their bellies and a big drink of water as I said my goodbyes. I felt like I failed these poor pups, and I was sad about them for the whole rest of my trip. That's the thing about life on the trail. You sometimes have to make tough decisions, and even harder, you have to live with the consequences. In this case, guilt, one that I still carry to this day. When I reconnected with the Tat, the weather definitely matched my gloomy mood. The skies really began to open up and started dumping some serious rain on the trail. Puddles of all shapes and sizes began to pop up, and creek crossings became more frequent. Eventually, the rain let up a little, but the damage was done and the mud was becoming more and more of a problem with each passing mile. It was an absolute struggle to keep the bike from sliding all over the place. This Mississippi mud was not playing around. It was like riding through Skippy peanut butter, and I'm not talking about the chunky kind. My back tire was slowly turning into a racing slick, which also was not helping matters. While conditions were far from ideal, I still appreciated how serene it was out in the middle of the forest. All you could hear were the raindrops hitting the trees. The sunset was one of the most beautiful and memorable ones I've ever seen in my life. I knew I had to pull out the drone despite the drizzle to capture this shot. It was totally worth standing there soaked to the bone just to get this footage. While the day sure had its share of lows, it ended on a high. This scene reminded me of something straight out of a dream and was the perfect cinematic end to Mississippi. I rode through the dark into Tennessee and found a sweet little place to call it a night. Whilst on the subject of sweet, I was sound asleep in my tent when a raccoon busted into my makeshift tail bag and helped himself to some delicious oatmeal. I cleaned up the mess and popped on my gear, but not before checking my stuff for weird mystery eggs. I hopped on the bike to reconnect with the Tat. It was like every other day except, well, it was my birthday. Now I couldn't just do anything for my birthday. I had something special planned. But you're gonna have to wait until part 14 to see. Thank you so much for watching part 13 of my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. I know this part took you on an emotional roller coaster, and I guarantee you part 14 will do the same as the TAC continues to throw more monkey wrenches in my plans.